Hi, this is Tom again with Rocket Restorations. I thought I would share the favorite vehicle we have on the property. This is a 1947 Jeep CJ2A. This is one we picked up a few years ago. I've been looking for one for a while and found this in a wrecking yard over in Moses Lake, and it's been sitting for like, I don't know, 30-40 years, and it was over in Eastern Washington, so it was real dry, real clean car. And I was kind of looking, I had a little ATV that I was using to ride around the property and move cars around and stuff like that. But ATVs are expensive. And you know what? This is way cooler than an ATV. Who needs a side-by-side when you can have a 47 Jeep? So we brought this one home, and basically, kind of what I do with a lot of my projects is we just started kind of working on it. And we basically said, we're gonna keep on working on it till we find something that we can't fix. And it just never happened. We got it running, did all the hoses because they were pretty baked from being in Eastern Washington. We did the fuel system, new gas tank, did the brakes, and here we are. And I'm not gonna touch the body because it is absolutely perfect. And to answer your questions, yes, it is licensed and insured. I can drive it on the road. There's no lights though, but unfortunately in Washington, they have a fair weather vehicle law where as long as you use hand signals, it is legal to do it. So we basically left, we did everything mechanical on it, including exhaust and, hoses and all that fun stuff. I did do the seats. They were just bare foam and I hated sitting on them, so I did the seats. There's a amazing company out there, Willys Parts, and I think they're in the Carolinas or something, but they've got everything for these. And it has gauges, and one of these days I'll make them work. Oil pressure gauge works, but that's about the only gauge that works. I think that hole was for a stereo, maybe a speaker at some point. I don't know, maybe they had a heater in this thing. But yeah, here's some of the tools of the trade. Air tank, chains for dragging cars around the property. A little history on these. I mean, obviously everybody knows the Willys and the Ford GPW were the, basically the most important vehicle in World War II. Ford made them, Willys made them, but Willys ended up getting all the patents after the war so they could build them after the war. And these are very similar to the war ones. The grills are a little different. The World War II Jeeps did not have a tailgate. So the civilian ones have a tailgate, which again is pretty nice. It's actually easier to get stuff in and out of the back there. But these are very similar to what they had in World War II. And I've got the windshield down. It has nothing to do with the fact that I've never cleaned the windshield and can't see out of it. It's more that it looks cool. Got the original side straps to do the hood on. I replaced that one at some point because it was missing. And then the strap up here holds the windshield down. I'll show you the engine bay on this thing. It's pretty easy to take off. Vacuum wipers, which I've never bothered to hook up. So yeah, windshield just folds up. Still has the Willys logo on the bottom there. And we have these side straps. And they also have these wood blocks there too that protect the hood and windshield when the windshield's down or when the hood's up. So 3 of these are original. And it's a pretty original engine bay. Still has the flathead 6. These are very low engines with a low hood. So you try to run an overhead valve motor in these, which the later Jeeps in the 50s used. You have to run a hood scoop on this or something. Somebody converted it to 12 volt at some point with an alternator, and I think that's a pretty worthy upgrade. We did the water pump and rebuilt the carburetor and new fuel filter, all that stuff. Hoses. Haven't done the radiator, and I'm assuming that's probably gonna pop at some point because it's not great. In fact, you can see some fluid coming out from the very, very old cap that's on here. Yeah. This has all seen better days. I should probably flush that system one of these days. I haven't changed the oil in 2 years either. I mean, it doesn't have that many miles on it, but you know, just around the yard and everything. There's the data plates if you're looking at it for a Willys or a Jeep. Looks like it probably did have a heater at some point, because those look like 2 holes for a heater. It was over in Eastern Washington in Brewster, but we bought it out of a wrecking yard in Moses Lake. All right, put the hood back down. And the windshield back down. It's important you tie this up, it doesn't come up. I mean, I'm just driving around the yard, but okay. All right, now we're behind the driver's seat. So it did not have an ignition switch when I got it, so we just put a generic ignition switch in it and it worked great. I said the oil pressure is the only thing that works. This is choke right here. I think that's throttle lock, but it's obviously sprung. But and it just has a. These are the 4-wheel drives, the 4 low, 4 high. I just keep it in 4 low around the property because we're not going that far that fast. And then it's a standard H pattern, so up is reverse, first, second, third, and of course everything's non-sync road. So I'll put it in neutral to start it. I moved it earlier, so it doesn't need too much choke anymore. Do a little lap around the property here, and then we're gonna put this thing to work. We got another Jeep. You gotta take out and take some pictures of. Love the sound of that flat floor. Kids ride around the property all the time with this thing. This is our test track. Have a little video around. Satellite parts car and a Plymouth Trail Duster. Not the Trail Duster. Our grain silo from this, and this is a dairy farm. Random pile of sheet metal, John Deere. Rototiller and parts car row out here. Yeah, it drives pretty nice. We had the brakes working. They're a little soft, but they work pretty good. Blues Brothers car. Post Belvedere. This is definitely for sale. And more parts cars out here. Alright, now we're gonna put this thing to work. This is one of our storage buildings, and I need to take this Jeep out because it's kind of surplus right now. That one's a 46, but the motor's stuck in it. And it's been sitting here for too long, so let's see if anybody's interested in it. But the Jeep is, I like to call it our yard mule. So it's time to hook up this chain and put this thing out and take a few pictures. Alright, time to pull this thing out. Usually I like having help with somebody to steer, but it's Saturday, so I don't have anybody to help right now. Reverse. Let's see how this goes. Hopefully it's steering straight here. Here she comes. Trying to hit any cars around us here. Or have it, you know, roll into me. So here we go. Don't go out and spend $20,000 on a side-by-side. Just go buy one of these. I paid $1,500 for this out of a wrecking yard, and I've got probably $2,500, $3,000 into it between all the parts I bought and fixing the engine and everything. Seriously, don't go buy a side-by-side. Go find something way cooler. This thing does everything a side-by-side will do for me. All right, thanks for watching.